guys, and welcome back to the channel. Today I wanted to show you guys how I tackle what I think is the hardest hole on the second nine of the East course. And I think the first thing that's going to surprise you guys is which hole I've chosen. I kind of sat down and went through the holes, and I think there's a few factors that kind of determine what made me decide that this is the hardest hole. And if you guys know the East course, comment down below which hole you think it is right now. I think the first thing is that it's going to surprise you guys which hole it is, and it's actually going to be hole 11, which is this par 4 right here. You've probably seen it in my videos before, and I think the reason why it's surprising is because it's a pretty straight hole. There's no water hazard, nothing. So let's see how we tackle it. So this entire left side, all these bunkers here, you're pretty much laying up. It has a pretty high lip, and you're hitting a long club into the screen, so it's pretty difficult for you to get out of there. And today my ball, I actually missed it far enough right that it's pretty flat, but normally when you miss it right, you're like on this big slope and just hitting from this rough, and it's just not a very easy shot, especially because like for me and my distance, I'm probably going to hit something like a hybrid. Like today's pin is all the way behind, so yeah, if I was like down there, it'd be pretty hard to hit like a wood. It's still going to be like 200 yards to that pin, so yeah, even the right side is pretty difficult to hit your approach shot from. But like I said, today I'm pretty lucky. I think my lie is pretty flat, so I'm going to be able to get a fairway wood out of that. Got a pretty good lie too, just a little bit in the rough. So which hole you find difficult on a course obviously is going to be very subjective to the kind of player you are. If you're a short hitter, you're probably going to find the long holes really difficult. If you're a long hitter, it's probably going to be the more narrow holes. So for me and my method of selection, basically, this is a hole that I would go up to, and if I play 10 rounds of golf here, I'd be happy to par this 10 times. So I think that kind of shows that it's a difficult hole that, I mean, even like as a professional golfer, I'm happy to make par on. So yeah, that's my criteria for today. So other than the fact that I would be happy to make par on this hole, there are several other reasons for my selection. I think overall this hole is difficult in every aspect. So for the tee shot, you basically can't hit it left. If you hit it left, you're going to lay up. Like you have to lay up because the bunkers are pretty high, especially if you hit it around my distance. If you bomb it and you're going to have some kind of 7-iron or below from it, then yes, maybe you have a chance. But if not, you're going to have to hit like a hybrid out of a pretty high lip. So it's kind of difficult to get it out there, and you're definitely laying up. Whereas if you hit on the right side, you don't really get good lies very often. And for the approach shot, I think it's pretty difficult to hit it on the green because first of all, like I said, you're hitting a pretty long club in. So the green is pretty hard, so it's hard to hold it on the green. And if you miss it, there are pretty challenging chips around that green. So I hit it short. Yeah, I hit it too far right again. But yeah, the green here, not easy to chip. I'm going to show you guys. There's quite a lot of undulation, which is another reason why I find this hole to be difficult. So if you look at the hole from this angle, just now at the approach shot, obviously the first thing you want to carry is this bunker. That bunker is pretty far left, and that bunker is over. So on the right side, there's quite a lot of slope, and it might seem like the green is pretty big, but since we're hitting a pretty long club into the green, and this green is pretty hard too, like the ground is pretty hard, so people always tend to miss it over there, and it's a pretty difficult chip from back there. So I've got kind of a tricky chip. I think you can see over here it breaks left to right, and then over there it breaks right to left. which is another reason why I said a lot of people tend to go over there, because the green here is downhill, so it always slopes towards this rough area here. This is like the collection area, and as you can see, you don't always get good lies down here. It's pretty thick. They don't really cut the grass out here, so I think it's done on purpose. Like if I step into it, you guys are going to be able to see like it's pretty thick. So if you're chipping from here to today's pin, for instance, that's going to be a pretty darn difficult chip. So like I showed you guys, this green has quite a lot of undulation. From where I am today, I've got about a 30-yard chip. So I do want to have a little bit of a lower approach with this chip, just because of how many slopes there are. Because there are so many slopes going in different directions, you do want to make sure that you land it perfectly on the right slope and on the right angle, because if you don't, there's a chance that it's going to bounce the opposite direction of where you want it to. Because of where my ball is lying today, I'm going pretty much almost straight at it, just giving it a little bit of a right to lefter and hitting a 54-degree wedge here, just so that I don't have to be too aggressive like I would have to be if I chip with my normal club, which is my 60-degree wedge. I hit a pretty decent chip. I'm happy with that from where I was. I gave myself about an 8-footer here for par. And another reason why this hole is difficult is because I find that for most parts around this green, especially for the shorter distance, meaning anything from inside about 12 feet, they always seem to look like they're going to break both ways. So it does get a little bit tricky. You do have to look at the overall undulation of the green and just kind of go with that. Like I said before, in the center of the green it goes left to right, and behind here it goes right to left. I think you can even see it from the screen. It does look like there's going to be a little bit of left to right. So for this hole, I always feel like you kind of have to not trust your eye and just go with the general direction of where things are sloping towards, and then just line your ball towards that direction and just putt it. Don't really focus too much on what it looks like, because I think it can definitely be tricky on the ice. I think a good way to approach these holes where you know it's going to be difficult, it's to have the right mindset. So you can definitely approach the hole knowing that it's going to be a difficult hole, that it's a challenging hole. Then you just need to focus on what you need to do. I think obviously, like this hole, I think is a little bit unique in that sense, because it's not difficult visually. Like there's nothing really out there that you're going to look at it and be like, oh, this is going to be a difficult hole. It's just more like a challenging hole to score. So I know that I need to maybe choose better targets, be more committed to the shots, and maybe play a little bit of a safer game on this hole. But on some holes where, you know, there's water hazards that just don't suit your eye, or something, or OB that doesn't suit your eye, those are a little bit different in terms of how challenging it is, because you need to adjust when you don't feel visually comfortable. Whereas on this hole, you just need to be a little bit smarter, but also commit to your shots that you want to hit and the decisions that you make. So yeah, depending on the hole and what the level of difficulty is and why it's difficult, you're obviously going to want to approach it differently. But yeah, I think just acknowledging that it's a difficult hole, and like, you know, on this hole, like I wouldn't be upset if I got a bogey, because I know it's a difficult hole. And that's not to say to like set your expectations low. Like obviously I still come here trying to make birdie every single time I play it, but I know that it's not going to get me irritated or frustrated if I make a bogey out here. And if I make a par, I feel happy. So I think that it's good to acknowledge it, just so that you can approach it with a different mindset. So like, as you can see, even for me in that situation, that was like a hard-earned par. Like I missed the tee shot a little bit right because I was aiming right. My second shot as well, I clipped the tree, so it was pretty short, and I had a pretty difficult chip. But overall, I didn't really hit any bad shots. I just kind of like aimed wrongly in a few shots. But yeah, you can see how easily it is to like accumulate those not so bad shots and have to struggle for par on that hole. And that's why I think that's one of the tougher holes, especially if you're talking about in terms of to score on this line. And that's why I chose that hole. So let me know what you guys think, which is the toughest hole in your opinion on the East Coast if you've been out here before. And I hope you guys learned something from this video maybe, and I hope to catch you guys next time.